Good afternoon, Shamara. How are you today?
Hi, Miss Bullet. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Just giving your colleagues some time to get in. I wonder if
I got the email because I just saw it just now.
the new email.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, it came out like shortly after 4. So I wonder if persons assigned into the other one. I'll go and check. Let me
Okay.
check to see if they on the other link.
Okay.
Let me see. Intermediate. Let's see.
Where's she going?
Okay, good. I see most persons are signing in now. Okay, can you all put something in the WhatsApp group to say please sign into the link that Miguel sent today?
Yes, ma'am.
Persons would know. Okay. So how have we been otherwise? Everybody is good?
Yes, ma'am. Everything is good.
Okay, that's good. And anybody reading the newspaper?
Yeah, I read it this week.
Okay, very good.
I went to Toastmasters.
Okay,
I think a lot of
excellent.
us did. A bunch of us did, I think. I'm not sure.
Nah,
Sorry,
I missed
I didn't hear you.
I said, I know a few of us probably went.
Oh, okay, good.
Miss Bullard.
Hi.
Hi, this is Opal. I know you said you only allowing so many persons. I just want to make sure my name is on that list.
Yes, I would definitely like for my name to be on the list as well.
Well, let's see how many of you actually how many by the show of hands, just raise your hands and let me see how many of you actually went to want to discuss today.
With the meeting we attended.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take it out of your mouth.
Okay, so I see everybody hand up.
Yes, it's going to be interesting today, Miss Bullard. Very interesting.
Everybody's hand is up. Okay, so we'll start with the Asman. Okay, first of all, I sent out the incorrect review sheet, and then I sent out the corrected one. Did everybody see the corrected sheet?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
good. And we see the name, and I guess after we finish all these civic organizations, then we can discuss if you have any questions on what needs to be done for next week. Okay?
Okay.
So go ahead, Diasman.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, awesome! Coming in hot today. All right. So I went to a Rotaract meeting last week. You always hungry. I went to a Rotaract meeting. Sorry about that. That's my son. Last week, Monday it was, and they had and they had Michael Pentard as the speaker. And it was very, when I say very good, I was impressed because when I hear me personally, when a politician speak, I just believe they're selling dreams. Well, he sold that dream to me, and I accepted that dream. He's a
It's
wonderful
signed, sealed, and
motivator.
delivered.
And he is a good. I see why he started out as a motivational speaker and turned into a poet and author of quite a few books. I mean, he really captivated me. I mean, he said, you not only need to be able to speak to a leader, not only needs to be able to lead a group of people, but to deposit into their minds. Mike, let me tell you something. I said, all right then. All right then. I said, look at you, Mikey. That was and he had the entire place rocking. And I mean, no question came at him that he did not have a politically correct yet humble response. And I was so surprised. I really thought that he was taller also, but I was so surprised.
That's your next
The
prime
way he was
minister. That's your next prime minister. So
I
it's good that
it
he's
looks
well
so
versed. He's
very.
well versed. So okay. So
He
what?
even talked about so many things, but man, the news was hot this week, Miss Bullard.
Okay. So what was one of the things he spoke about? What was your takeaway from the meeting?
How he talks about the urban renewal. That is a station in every community somewhat, where it's for recreational use. But he also wants it to not to be like a lounge per se for people who supposedly work there. He wants it to be a studio for artists, musicians, a recreational center where kids can come in there, do their homework. Kids can come in there to be in a safe environment to where they don't have to worry about the outside, which is, to me, that's having kids. That's very important, to have a place to where you can come in and express yourself freely. You can come in and let your creative juices flow. And a lot of us, we don't really encourage, a lot of us as parents, or our parents' parents, we don't really encourage that creative flow. We don't really encourage. If I tell my mommy I want to write songs, she can tell me, you need to write what song. You better go write. Go write one summary for your what you gonna call it, for your resume or something, because it definitely ain't gonna be for no song. And he encourages the creativity in youngsters, and I feel as if that is something we definitely need, because it's going to be a outlet for from a stressful world and a stressful environment that we are in, and that who knows what is going to come out of it in the future.
Well, that's good. That's good. I just hope that it's managed properly, because one of the cases that we're going to talk about today is, of course, the director who was in charge of urban renewal in Freeport. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding that. So, okay, very good. And I'm glad you found it interesting, and I'm happy that you had a dynamic speaker. So hopefully you would think about joining. So very good. Very good. Okay, let's go to Shamara. Let's go to all the civic, and then we'll go to the newspapers. Shamara, go ahead.
Hi, Ms. Bullard. Okay, so I went to Toastmasters yesterday via Zoom, and they were talking about starting over. Like, how do you feel about starting over? It was a really good discussion. They spoke about Shawnee and how she was injured, and she ended up winning the gold again. So that was interesting. And what I took from it the most, well, I got cited for saying and well, and but it was a very interesting talk because it was like Toastmasters had to shut down, I think, during COVID, and they had to rebuild. So they went through the whole COVID phase, like this one that we were a part of, and it started all over, and they're rebuilding and they're trying to get new persons to join. And I mean, I would like to join. It was a little tough though, because the speaker, she spoke about starting over and they ripped her to pieces. They were like, oh, you were boring. You lost the interest of the people who were watching. It was rough. And I'm like, if I ever have to present and they talk to me like that, I mightn't come back. But it was interesting.
Okay, okay, very good. What was your word for the day?
The word we had was dirk. It's a funny word. It means like if someone swindles you, someone tries to swindle you. I have it because
Bilk.
bilk. That's it, bilk. So it means to obtain or withhold money or unfairly from someone. That was the word. And I Googled it when she asked who knows it, but I didn't lie and say I knew it. So I didn't answer. But that was the word of the day, bilk. Thank you,
Okay.
Teresa. She was there too.
Okay.
No
very good.
problem, Shamara.
Very good, very good. Okay, Lanique, go ahead.
Okay, good evening. I wasn't able to attend any of the meetings due to my schedule because I mean I told you I taken other classes. So what I did was watch the Dare Act training
Okay.
that was on the that was on the Securities Commission. Yes, and my one takeaway, it was very interesting, I will say. I thought that I wasn't going to be I thought that it wasn't
Good,
gonna
fall
end.
asleep, eh?
Yeah, I honestly, when they first started, I was like, no, hold on now, because I really, I never was interested in like that. I don't understand the whole crypto and Bitcoin and to do, but I do understand that we're going into that age and it's becoming more and more popular, especially based on what they were saying. And so my whole takeaway from it was they are trying to regulate it in terms of putting a risk framework in place, same as how we have a risk framework for the other industries that we monitor, like our central bank monitors all of the financial institutions like that. So they trying to, the act itself is for them to create policies for the members, a part of it, of this digital assets and registered exchange to do, for them to have guidelines to create policies and procedures, the same way how we have, when I say we, the banks do customer due diligence, they want them to do the same, the record keeping, stuff like that. The only thing that was different was how we would invest, like, you know, when we do background checks and world checks, they would do the same, but they also would do an IP address tracing as well to go further to make sure it's not somebody connected to the dark web or anything like that. And I thought that was, I mean, that's some real, you know, techie stuff. So I was surprised by how structured it is, because I usually hear people talk about trading and talk about this and that with Bitcoin and sand dollar and this and that. And I just thought that it all was a scam, but it's not. It's actually becoming very popular, and it's something that they foresee giving us a lot of opportunities in the near future. And so I guess they're just trying to put a rein on it to have some boundaries, but not, they said not cripple it from growing to what it could be. So
Right.
that's what I took away.
Right, and of course, regulation means, you know, like they say in the United States, Uncle Sam will get his cut, right? And so they want to make sure they can tax it as well. So that's another important thing when it comes to policy and procedure. That's what makes it so expensive. It's not only for cryptocurrency, it's also to manage or regulate a digital asset, which is the sand dollar.
Sand
And the
dollar.
sand dollar, again, it's not cryptocurrency. It's the Bahamas digital asset to help us with not being so cash intensive. And then our crowdfunding platform. again, just like GoFundMe in the United States. You have a
That's
platform
that's
here.
that he said it, something.
Yeah,
Fitcoin?
I'm not familiar, but I know it's on the Alive platform. So you could go on Alive a platform and you will see our version of the GoFundMe. So I don't know what's the name of it, but I see there are a few up and running, and that's also to regulate the crowdfunding in the Bahamas. Because of course we know that GoFundMe is supposed to be established by an American or Canadian, so America can get their tax as well. Okay, so yeah, very good. So follow that. Go ahead, Tamara. No, no, you wanted to say something? No. Okay, Lenny.
One.
Go ahead. Okay, Lenny, we can't hear you, or I can't hear you.
Hello, y'all can hear me
Hello.
now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, does that mean that there will be specific compliance officers just for digital assets, just to deal with that particular field? Because
Well,
I see them saying they need an MLRO and stuff.
right. So Alive, because they hold that platform, previously didn't have a MLRO, and so they were sourcing a MLRO to deal with the compliance aspect of that. So if you manage that platform, then yes, you would need an MLRO. Or if you were going to facilitate, let's say you were going to be the company that collects the money, like our WACATs, they say they collected money, and people are trying to find out information now because they had collected money is for what's the name of the Red Lobster.
Right.
Right, and apparently that's not going to be no more, or it is on hold. But they have collected, persons have donated already. You know what I mean? And so yeah, they are now being questioned as to what happened to the money. Did everybody get a refund, or where is the project at? Right. So you would need the compliance or the MLRO to ensure that that money is paid back and kept safely until it's returned to the until a decision is made.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so very good, ladies. Opal, go ahead.
Good night, everyone. Okay, so as the item would have mentioned, I also went to the Rotary Club. That would have been last week, Wednesday. Michael Pintard was the speaker. Now, they did not have a word for the day, but they did have a quote that was introduced in the beginning of the meeting.
You said it was Rotary, right? It's Toastmasters that normally have the word.
No,
so if you went to Rotary doesn't have the word for the day.
No, they didn't. I was waiting to see if they did, but no, they didn't.
No.
So, but it was a quote that they said in the beginning of the meeting. So I just took it down just in case. And it was just together we sow world lasting change. Michael Pintard spoke on leaders and how they affect change in the Bahamas. A few of his points were, one second, sorry, I have it written down here. A few of his points were drive, how they're driven, their vision, having humility, integrity, charisma, and passion. There were a few persons there that we spoke with. When we first walked in, the president came right up to us and he spoke to us. We said hello and we were able to meet a few persons. The president's name is Stanley Toot. We also met the secretary, Crystal Breesdell, and Mr. Derek Smith, who is an MLRO for CG Atlantic. And we was able to pick his brain a bit on, why he became an MLRO and how he feels and being in the position. And, he was very friendly and easy to speak to. We also met one of your past students. I think her name is Nikki. I did not get her full name, but she introduced us Nikki. and she didn't have her name tag on at the time, but as she would have already said, Miss Ford, it was a very good meeting. That was actually their first meeting that they had face to face since the pandemic. So we were able to see everybody excited, and they were all, asking questions and very involved with the meeting. It was really exciting. I don't think I would join um, as yet because they was calling for some steep stuff in there, but overall it was very good. I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Okay. Okay. Very good, Opal. And I'm glad that so far most of you would have found it beneficial and would have met some interesting persons again. Like I said, network, network, network. Okay. You have to get your name out there. Okay. Latoya, go ahead.
She also spoke really well of you, Miss Bullard.
Who's
I think her name is Nicole Turnquest.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. You're like, y'all in that Miss Bullet class? Okay, good. So very good. So I wonder, was she always a part of Rotary, or did she join from the class, or do you know? Or
She joined. She was already a part of Rotary
okay.
about maybe
She
3 years
said 7
prior.
years.
So
Mhm.
that was pretty easy for her, she said.
Okay, okay, very good, very good. Glad y'all met some. I hope y'all keep her in your network, okay, and get some good tips and advice from us. So very good. Okay, go ahead, Latoya.
Hi, everybody again. Y'all can hear me, right?
No, you sound very far away.
Okay, let me come up closer. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone again. I would have attended a Toastmasters. I'm not a public speaker. I'm sure you guys probably know that by now, but I'm not a public speaker, so I tend to get a little nervous. So upon entry of the Toastmasters, I was a little timid. However, um, it was a very good experience overall. I became very comfortable. Let's say that after the first few moments, because they all made me comfortable. Um, I am anticipating to join as well to
Oh,
help me with my
excellent.
public speaking. I always wanted to do it from high school. I wanted to do it, but I never got around to it. So thank you, Ms. Bullet, for making me go and actually visit it.
Okay, you're
Um,
welcome.
but our word of the day was obeisance. So that means a gesture expressing differential respect, such as a bow or courtesy, right?
What's the
Um,
word? Say the word for me again.
obeisance,
Obeisance. Okay.
yeah. Um, they didn't have a speaker per se. They did have a moment where they had an interaction section segment, more or less. Well, it's called an educational section. So you were to interact. Um, you had a speech, and then you had an evaluation at the end. Their speaker was Toastmaster Clark. She actually had to do her icebreaker. So that was pretty interesting. She actually spoke about herself. Um, and they evaluated her on how she did it, what she could have done better, and everything else. Apparently, this was her second time. And they had a topic of the day, which was what makes you a Bahamian. So you had to elaborate on that as well. But overall, it was really, really, really good. I feel as though it is more of a educational platform, but training you to be more, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, More confidence, to give you
Okay.
more confidence, and train you into how to speak in the public arena and all these other different stuff. Just like Pintart, you know what I mean? So it was really, really good and I enjoyed it. And I've made contact with a number of persons, actually, 3 persons since then, who I've been in contact with pretty much every other day.
Oh
So
wow,
I'm just
awesome.
waiting. Yeah, we've made some arrangements. Most of their classes are on Tuesdays. So I'm gonna have to wait a while in order to join. But I do have another connect where I could still join, which is the same Circle of Excellence. They usually meet on Mondays. So yeah, I had fun. I actually had fun, a whole lot of fun. So
Okay,
thank you for
excellent.
that. Mhm.
Very good. Happy you found it beneficial. Very good. And
Thank
met some good
you.
people.
I did. I sure did. Some
Okay.
really, really down to earth persons. It was really, really, really nice.
Okay, great. Very good. I'm very pleased. Okay, Precious?
Good evening, everyone. Ms. Bullitt, just want to elaborate on Toastmasters meeting yesterday. I think several of us was in attendance. That was the Circle of Excellence. And I mean, it was an interesting topic. I like the fact that they use a national, she should be considered a national hero, Shawnee. She was basically the center of the meeting, and it was basically about getting back on track. And I think it was very timely for me personally because, this was a venture along with other stuff that I did. I am in the process of doing for work. So the topic was very interesting. The presentation was lovely. The lexiologists, I think that's what they're called. She gave the word of the day. I think they probably would have already shared the word for the day, which was milk. I'm not certain if anyone shared it yet, but
Yeah, they have.
okay. And also, I mean, they had like a little interaction segment, whereas I think they used one guess, but basically it was the track, and she had numbers on the lanes, and she basically had different topics. Like one of them were, how have you used 3 words to describe your year so far? And I think it was Toastmaster Laguerre.
Yeah,
Laguerre was the one who was presenting that segment. It was Latoya. Oh my goodness, I forgot her last name. Latoya. But anyway, that was her. She picked a lane. I think it was lane 10. And it was very. It was awesome. Basically, like I said, it was timely for me, and I'm considering joining simply because I like the idea that they critique your speech, not knowing that being guests of you're being critiqued as well. So at the end of the segment, I forgot the term they used for it, but basically, they try to get you to be straightforward and direct with your speech. So no but use the use of too much of the word I and all of that. So it was very interesting. There was the presenter for the day. She basically presented on how she worked, how she got the idea to rebuild the club. And basically at the end of the day, or at the end of the segment and what she did to rebuild the club, she was able to get the company to agree and actually include the club as included in the educational budget. So as long as persons are employed and they want to be a member of the Toastmasters Club, they would pay for their membership fee, which I thought was really nice of a company, because most companies, you have a lot of people who would just go to work, collect a salary, go home. But it's nice that they got their staff engaged. She didn't say which company it was, but she received the letter, and basically they like with the idea that she brought in to actually build the club. And so it was saving a club. It was saving the club and rebranding a club that was existing. And Ms. Bullitt, what do they call it when basically they are not they basically go in the closeout? She used a term for that.
Liquidation.
Wound up or
round up. Yes, that's what she said. So it was nice that she was able to save that particular club. successfully. She had, I think she said it was about 35 people that joined within that day that they presented. So I'm definitely looking forward to attending another meeting because it was very informative and engaging. And, you know, they didn't make you feel like a stranger or left out. So that was pretty good.
Okay, and that's awesome, and I'm glad the majority of you found it beneficial. You know, sometimes you step out of the box and you learn something new, you meet some great people, and wow, you know, um, you also have fun. So very good, ladies, and I'm glad that you all pushed to make sure that you go sit comfortably into your final exam and you had a good time. So very good. And for those of you who didn't enjoy and it's not your cup of tea, remember that's where corporate Bahamas hangs out. That's where the movers and shakers are. Okay, and so you want to make sure that you build a strong network. Okay. So very good. So let me just make sure I have Shamara, Diasmond, Lanique, Opal, Latoya, and Precious on the list. Teresa, I think you attended as well.
I did. I attended the same one as Shamara and Precious. And
Okay.
I don't know who sent the link in the WhatsApp, but thank you very much, whoever did it. And then I was able to join that yesterday at 7. I too enjoyed it very much. I love expanding my vocabulary every chance I get. If I see a word, I don't know it, I go to the Google dictionary, whatever, and find the meaning, find the antonym, and find the synonym, because I love to hear eloquent people. It turns me off if I'm listening to a speech and the person is not well spoken or is not engaging. So again, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like Precious said, I didn't feel like a stranger. They engaged you. They made you feel welcome. Um, and I'm still thinking about the question. I think Miss Legea had asked, called random names, and she asked me to pick a number. And when I picked the number, it was a question. There were 10 numbers, I think. And my question was, what is the first thing that you see when you open your eyes? And, you know, you had to answer on the spot. And I said, wow. And my answer was, I see hope. Because I truly believe that every day is a chance to do something different, an opportunity to encounter so many different things, meet so many different people. So I even wrote the question down because I plan to use that again. Um, I, even if I don't join, I plan to attend more meetings whenever I can. Because I've went to Rotary meetings, and I think I went to a Kiwanis meeting before, but it's not my cup of tea. I think would suit my personality very well. And thanks to you again, Ms. Bullitt, for encouraging us to do this, because like I said, I'm an introvert. But you know, networking, you can get around it. You're not going to meet people inside your house.
Right.
So this is something that I will pursue even further. And if I may, I read The Guardian today, and the article that really piqued my interest was international buyers keeping real estate market red hot, prices high. They talked about this real estate company, BE Luxury Real Estate, never even heard of them. How they just 2 years ago, they're a fledgling company. And their biggest purchase thus far, they just closed on a 6.3 million property near Albany. And one of the things mentioned in this article says, if the world's wealthiest continue to spend as we've seen the past 2 to 3 years, prepare for a further 10 to 20% uptick in price on luxury properties and for overlooked non-gated areas like oceanfront Eastern Road, beachfront Southern Shores, and Adelaide to trade significantly higher. That's all well and good, right? But what about the average Bahamian? All this is going to do is further increase the price of real estate. We are competing against wealthier people for the most part. And what is this going to do to the young Bahamian who just got married, wants to buy a piece of property, already finding it challenging. So I've always been torn with this international investors growing our country. But then I think a lot of it, Ms. Bullitt, is to the detriment of Bahamians. We cannot compete with these people. What is that? That's going to, I believe, this is my opinion, that's going to further set us back in us getting a piece of the pie.
Yeah, but see, we have to strike a balance, and I agree
Right,
with you,
of
further
course.
sets us back, but the government has to do more. And so, since all of the, I guess, what do you call like the Elizabeth Estates and the Pinewood, and what do you call that, affordable government housing?
Mhm.
Since that, that hasn't happened for a very long time. However, I think the F&M had just gotten this Carmichael Village established, and
Mhm.
then they did something in the back of South Beach, and I think they had a little bit of flooding there, and so they're now in Eleuthera. So, and then they tried to get that piece of property out west or for JFK, but something, I guess, structurally is swamp or something like that was wrong with it. But so the government has to step in, and those properties actually went for only $15,000 in the Carmichael Road Village and in the South Beach area. The one that they tried to get off of JFK was for 50,000, which was still reasonable. And it was also, they had some multi-family plots. And so persons are gonna have to, young business persons are gonna have to go that route, because I mean, property and building is absolutely, I don't, like you said, we can't compete. The price of plywood doubled. Yeah, and the property is outrageous. So yeah, we're gonna have to look at the government subsidized properties if we don't want to live at home with our parents. So yeah, so hopefully the government stays on track with finding these parcels of land, and ensuring that the middle class could afford to get housing. Yeah.
But sorry, if I could interject with that. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Crown Land. Now, everybody bases their lives, or most of us base our lives around New Providence, which is the capital. But we have so many other islands where you can pay $500 for almost half an acre that we don't even look into. We don't even
No.
even
Yeah,
glance at.
that has taken 20 years to be approved.
It doesn't, because I have applied for 4 islands and I've got approval for 3
When
already.
did you mean
You did them on that
in the
particular
last year
island?
or so?
No, I got my 2 Berry Island plots in 2017. I got my Exuma plot, which is a few yards of an acre off, and that was in 2019. And that in Exuma was only $2,900. Both of my Berry Island plots, both of them, did not even cost me $1,500. Both
Oh
of
wow.
them.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so perhaps because I
we
know
need to get, because that's for us.
I
That's
know
for us.
somebody who did Eleuthera, and it's been a good 10 years. They still waiting on an answer. And definitely they've been saying no more crown land in Nassau for 10 years, but somebody who
But
applied
that's the
10
thing.
20
Nassau is
years
already
ago still ain't get it
overcrowded.
straight.
Nassau
Sorry?
is already overcrowded.
Crowded,
Nassau is
right,
already
right.
overcrowded, and we need to outsource. Why is it that the Norwegians, the Russians, all them people over on the west side, the east side, they learning about us? Why is it that we have Norwegians in Grand Bahama that owns 5 miles off of the shoreline? That's ridiculous. Why do you own 5 miles out from the shoreline? And I think 10, no, I think it was 10 feet. No, 110 feet underground, because they found aragonite that they're outsourcing sending over, they're mining our our land. They're mining in our waters, and they are taking it elsewhere, and then they gonna sell it back to these big jewelry corporations, and they selling it back to us for 300 to 500 times over what they paid for a piece of property that should have been not even, it shouldn't have even been leased to these people. Why does John Travolta, who have no ties with the Bahamas, why does he have on 2 miles off of the shoreline? What is that? Nobody owns the beach. Nobody owns the beach. You have 3 feet from your property line for grace, and the rest of that is done. People say it's six. It can't be no six, because a lot of those beaches, especially in the Adelaide area, don't even have 6 feet of sand. So that don't make no sense to me. And these people are coming over to us, the Armenians. Why they have a part of Exuma block off? Why? Why do they have a whole part of Exuma blocked off from residents? Why are people kicked off of their lands? Because they know the riches, they know what in there. They found oil in our underground in the Bahamas, in our waters, and they're outsourcing the oil. This was what, 2015, 2014, and they're outsourcing the oil, and then we gotta buy it back to put in our cars.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
the asthma, okay, well, I still blame the government for allowing,
I do
getting
too,
those
because
persons approval. But let me tell you, BAIC, that's the Bahamas Agriculture and Industrial Corporation, they have a lecture series each month. And I've attended that over and over and over when they have the ones on Crown Land. And they can't even tell you. I said, okay, so what is available? If nothing in Nassau, and nothing in Andros, and nothing in Eleuthera, where's, like, why you have an electricity series and inviting young people and telling them to apply if nothing is available? And then have you seen the application? The application, like, I couldn't even fill it out, and somebody brought it to me and said, "Miss Fuller, help me." I couldn't even fill it out. It was ludicrous what they was
They
asking.
had, they actually had, I think it was, one top person from Crown Land a few weeks back that actually calls Richanique on at the talk show after the news. And he was saying that in order for these things to actually be processed, it's a really, really, really timely process, because they only have a handful of persons that are right here in New Providence. So my question now, Tiasmin, since you got all of that information, how did you go about doing it? Were you able to do it on the Family Island?
yes, I was able to do it on a family island, and Andros is one of them. Um, the only reason why Andros, I have not gotten approved for Andros, is because that's family property that they entice, and I'm apparently too far down the line. But I went through the regular way. I went to land revenue, and
Filling out,
I fill out the form.
filling out that
Now I know they
horrendous
have
form.
different.
That
I
is
I
horrendous for true because I have one of those. That's crazy. I was
Yeah, I
actually
just
trying to
went and
get
I got the.
property in Andres,
Hmm. Yeah,
you
they
know.
told me that I'm too far down the line. So basically, my mother, my grandfather, because he's still alive, that trumps me. His siblings are still alive. Their children are still alive, and then they have grandchildren. And because the only reason why I trumped some of my cousins is because of their great grandchildren.
Oh,
It's
wow.
crazy. I
Yeah, that's
understand
what I
That's
tell you.
where
crazy.
it's
It's
coming from,
crazy.
right?
It is
Yeah,
But
crazy,
that's
it's
crazy.
crazy.
crazy. And if everybody, my grandfather, his siblings, their kids, they don't want the land, I'm showing interest. Me and a few of my cousins, we all pulled together. We're between the ages of 18 and 35, and we are all pulling together so that we can get all of our family land, because we have trees, literally, what the thing, oh, the big cedar tree, with its grow so wide and tall, it's growing through it's literally growing in the middle of the house. So why not just give it to us? We are showing interest. But I just
Right.
went right to the office. I got the form for the particular island that I wanted. Once you can show your lineage, you can show where you
Interesting.
connected or how you're connected to that
Right.
island. And that made it easier because when I gave that McKinsey and that stirrer for Andres, they was like, okay, we accept your application.
Okay.
But
Oh,
I think
wow.
I would have got started if it wasn't because all those people who are still alive, who are above me, Barry Island, I all I had to say is Mary Roberts. And they was like, okay, that's that. They know the Roberts, the Francis, the Deans, the Winders, that's Barry Island.
So it
Bimini,
is easier
Yeah.
to do it pretty much on the
just
islands.
show your connection. Once you
Connection
can
to
show it,
that
that's why
particular
it's
island.
so good to know who your family is. And people get on me all
Right.
the time about that, but know your family, know where you come from, know who you come from. Because the way my exuma, and this how far this gone, the way my exuma one got approved, and for so much, is because my grandfather's mother was a twin, an identical, she had an identical twin sister, and they're an exuma. That's where they grow up. And
Wow.
once I
Wow.
said that, I guess they were a part of the first sets of twins on the island, and that's how they were known. So once I could have showed the Nixons, then I showed she married a Brown. She had Benson Brown. Benson Brown had Damian Brown. Damian Brown had Diasmond Brown. Now Ford. And that was that.
Well,
That
you
that
lucky because I've been getting
Very
run around for
lucky.
years. And
Yes, same
especially
here.
with, yeah,
Same
so
here.
Barry, I can understand you getting Barry Island approved, but I'm surprised at Exuma. And even like I say, with marijuana coming on stream, some very big players have acquired up a
Are
lot
gonna
of the
a
land.
lot of
And I don't know
land.
if you all
Yes.
saw, like last year, they had applications inside the newspaper because they wanted people to test the soil. So of course, I don't know if there are any qualified Bahamians to test and so. So of course they were bringing in persons
trust
from
me,
Farmers.
they are more than qualified. Plenty. There are so many Bahamians that are
Bahamians.
so qualified in the agriculture industry. You have no idea. And guess what? We learned from our grandparents. We learned from our great
Yeah,
No, no,
grandparents.
no. Now I'm not saying
but
what you learned.
we
You have to
do.
And
have
I know people who
certificates
actually
now.
went to
You have to have
school
your
for it.
degree and whatever.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
and
know
that's where the
somebody who is
problem
in Andros
lies. We don't.
now who has a
Well,
degree and who they're trying to make a senior um lecturer or partner or something like that for what it name in there. Oh, I keep forgetting. Basra, I think it name, but
Bamsi, you mean a Bamsi
Bamsi,
from
sorry,
Bamsi.
yeah, right,
Bamsi.
right,
Bamsi.
right.
And she born and raised right now, so how do you fox
But
live
is
together?
she qualified to check the soil now? I don't know. People is just
Definitely. And I
okay.
know several people graduate from St. Anne's who have the degree. One is in Harbor Island, one is in Eleuthera, and that one in Andros. Come on, mom, we pop in, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. So they sourcing people to check the soil. I imagine it could be for the marijuana fields because I know that I think Colorado has what do I leased the whole island of Anguilla to put their fields in, and so a lot of US I guess marijuana dealers trying to um lease islands to grow their trees. And then if we're gonna make it legal, of course we want to make our, you know what I mean, our trees. We need a lot of land. So I say that just can make it more difficult, you know, to get this crown line. But okay, we will see. Very, very good that you were successful. But like I say, I've quite a number of persons who have farms who have been helping for years, been getting the run around, and then especially we went to the SBDC had offered 50,000 to fishermen and farmers. And so I had a lot of farmers approach me saying, well, a part of my approval is I have to have this land now. I've been farming on it for the last 10 years. However, it ain't official. You need a farm card. This is the me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
what we been through for that farm card. We was ready to
It ain't
go.
necessary. It's really
Yeah,
isn't. It
yeah.
really is not
So
necessary what they put
yeah,
people through for
yeah.
it. But
And the people have been on the land for 10 and 20 years. So that's
Yeah,
why it was
that's
so,
there,
so
and
confusing.
it's really their land, because if you could give squatters a land after 5 to 7 years, why you can't give somebody
That,
who been farming, who been
they,
producing
there you go.
for
There you
so
go.
long? But
Yeah.
you know just the way how people manufacture in Thailand and they manufacture in China, places with cheap labor. That's why they
Yeah.
went down to Anguilla. They're looking for cheap labor. They can hire locals at
Right.
a
The farm that
very
land. Yeah.
affordable rate. So I mean, I mean, it's a business. So
Yeah. 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 Okay. Very, very good. Teresa, go ahead.
Just one point, please, Miss Bullard. I had one more thing to add to the real estate. How this ties in so beautifully. I was on LinkedIn this afternoon, and I follow the FATF, and they mentioned today that in an article that criminals are often attracted to the real estate sector to launder and profit from the proceeds of their illegal activities. However, the FATF assessments show that the real estate sector often has very little understanding of how they could be misused for criminal purposes. And then that's why when I saw the Guardian say was this article, we so quick to make a sale in the Bahamas, money, we just love that money. We don't know who these people could be, so that's another thing,
Yeah, good. That's why now if you have a financial services where you do banking or whatever for your customers under the real estate, you have to have an MLRO on staff, and you have to register with the Compliance Commission or you don't get licensed. And so the larger firms like the Mario Carey and the Cordwell Banker and all of them, they went under the same thing. The accounting firms and the law firms went out. They had to go get MLROs and develop compliance departments as well.
I remember.
Let's just look at a particular number house now. Let's look at it. For the most part, after the laws changed, the number houses became unbanked, correct? Because
unbanked
because before 2018, the Royal Bank of Canada, Scotia, all of them had their accounts. After 2018, when the law changed, they became too cash intensive. And so the Canadian bank says, no, we don't want their money. And so they were forced out, and the only bank that was taking their money was Bank of the Bahamas. Now, Bank of the Bahamas had a resolve committee because nobody was paying their loans because they were all politicians. And of course, we know most state banks fail, right?
Right.
So think about it now. The number houses announcing that we made $550 million, right? No bank taking that except the state bank, Bank of the Bahamas. Deposit insurance is only $50,000. You are not going to put $550 million in Bank of the Bahamas, and should they default, you could only get $50,000 back. Correct?
Correct.
Correct. So where did they put that money? Did we see buildings popping up on every corner? Did we not see real estate? Do we not see a whole shopping center on Burnett Road that you never opened and we still seem to be thriving every day? Did we not see that, hey, the banks don't want to keep the money, so we will buy the bank dilapidated building that already have a vault? You didn't see that?
The banks that already have a vault, you said?
Yeah, the old dilapidated building on East Street and Wolf Road.
Yes.
That I get paid little or no money for. When the bank shut down, bank didn't take the vault. Did the bank take the vault? Think about it.
Not. I would think not.
Okay. Where is 500?
To be honest with you, one of those developers, I knew personally that they would have paid their contractors. I think, what is the name of the place behind Old Fort Bay? That residential area behind Old Fort Bay?
Behind Old Fort Bay, Life Key?
They were paying their contractors in cash.
Latoya, yeah, yeah, mic going out. You must be don't supposed to say that.
Mhm.
Latoya, you the Fed
that's
shut you
so-
down just now.
Yeah, well, what's the NTS? NSA?
Yeah, Latoya, the Fed shut you out. Okay, keep that, Latoya, keep that. But yeah, so if do we not see new brand
Yes,
new
I
buildings?
keeping that.
Yeah, they shut you out just now. Popping up in Cable Beach, popping up on Cowpen Road, popping up on these big buildings everywhere. Because we have nowhere to keep the money. And so therefore we invested in real estate. Yeah. We didn't notice that. Teresa?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Miss Bullet, to be honest, I'm so jaded and cynical that everything I see right now is crookery, if that's a word. I stopped. I
No,
stopped
no.
looking.
It was
I-
honest money now. Remember now
No,
before
no, no, no,
they
no. I
were.
mean in general. I mean in general, trying to keep up because everybody can handle the cookie jar. So
Yeah.
everything is illicit if you ask
No,
me.
no. Before 2018, it was illegal. And that's when the banks had it. But after the laws changed, it became legit
No, no,
because
no, no, no.
they bought
I
a
mean
lot of
in
buildings.
general, Miss Bullet. I mean in general, like everyone, like everything.
Yeah.
If we know what we trying to watch this, but this one do like I stopped. Anyway.
Yeah, so that whole plaza where the Ministry of Finance is on Michael Road, we own that and we rent that to the government. The labor board, the old city market, we buy that and we rent that to the government.
Wow.
Right? The shopping center where on the end of JFK, we rent that to the government. You already know that? We own all of that.
Wow.
Yes.
Didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Teresa. So yeah,
So you
we
see
have
how it
been
all
good.
ties in. It all ties in.
Miss
Really.
Bullard, the one on that's Odie's there, Bernard Road, that's still empty. They
That's
still
still
haven't done anything
one
with that.
one shop, one shop thing up, one shop open.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I see they put a fence to the back now, and they must be doing some work to the back of it. I don't know.
Mhm.
But that's what they did.
Interesting.
Where else did this money go? You see what I mean? Think
Yeah,
about
they had
it.
to use it. They had to use it some way, somehow.
Yeah, they had to put
They
it
have a whole
somewhere.
subdivision, Venetian West, is it?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
one of them opened their own bank, didn't they not?
But they try no, and guess what? I support that. I support that.
I do
because-
too. I do
But,
too.
but the Canadian banks exiting and all these fees, let them go.
Right.
We need a bank that for
Correct.
behemoth.
For
You know what I mean? And
Bahamians.
I
But-
also teach customer service and marketing, and we do an analysis between the banks, the credit unions, and the number houses. And the banks, Royal Bank, been here from they more than 108 years old. Scotia Bank,
Correct.
60 something years old. And let me tell you something. What the number houses have done in 3 years of being legal, and even if you don't want to say 3 years, let's say 10 years since they come above ground, Royal, them Canadian banks ain't do nothing
Have not
compared.
done. Agreed.
Nothing compared for the community or for the Bahamas to what those number boys have done.
Or within their immediate area, because check their surrounding areas. Nothing.
Yeah, but they still do, or they have Jesus breast cancer. Everybody could go get a free mammogram, right? Every back to school. Think about it. Every Christmas.
No,
Think
I
about it.
don't mean the ones that are doing. I'm talking about the Canadian ones.
Oh yeah, the Canadian.
As simple as
nothing
their
compared.
surrounding areas, they don't
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah. And what they do is very minimal compared to, like I say, the number businesses. So yeah, I think they deserve it. I think
But-
they make this money, but their heart is still with the people.
Miss Bullet, I'm all for all Bahamian, right? But with the banks, let's look at bank of, if you're a politician and you have a $20 million loan and you make the first payment, see, it's easy to say, I support banks, let's do, but if it's going to be run, if history is going to repeat itself, I would never put my bank money in a Bahamian bank if it's going to be run like that, where the bank is run to the ground.
Nah, that's
You
state
see?
banks. When the government involved, you don't put your money in that bank. I'm sorry. Nobody work here, the BOBA. When the government involved, the state banks don't work. Private banks, yes, but with the state-owned banks, the government always going there to their cronies, borrowing up the money and never paying. Okay, and writing it off. State banks always fail. They have a history of failing. Okay, but I don't believe they would be scrutinized so hard they'd have to dot every I and cross every T just because of who they are. But I think it'll be more beneficial to the but if they finding a workaround now that everything becoming digital, they only can regulate this technological world to a certain extent. So they finding a way. I think they already have Sun Cash, so they one more step and they did. And Omni, I think they own Omni too, but I know Sun Cash for sure.
Miss Fuller, I noticed when I went into the food store on 2 weeks ago, they saw value actually. Stop taking that Sun Cash. Why? Why you think?
But I know the fee is Robert's been around for many years and he's a businessman, so probably he doesn't want to pay the fee, um, associated with having it, and you either pay it yourself or pass it on to the customer, right?
Okay,
And Visa and MasterCard already say it's against the law to pass it on to the customer. So perhaps they didn't negotiate with him to his liking.
All right.
You know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
used to be in charge and making most of the decisions. So in a few years, as it becomes more popular, he may just not have a choice.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
He'll be losing money at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they can really stick it in. But right now, he's still, the boss of
On the
everything.
fence.
You
On
don't
the
tell him what to
fence.
do. He tells
Yeah.
you bow to him, or he just don't do business with you. So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, ladies, very very good. Anybody else? No. Okay. Okay. Good. So congratulations, ladies. And I can remember it so very well. The first day we started, when a lot of you were saying, Miss Bullet, boy, I don't know, and we was overwhelmed in the first class. Now look at us. This is the final class out of the chapter. Next week is just review, and then the week after is the final exam. So very good that you hung in there, that I know it probably was tough coming to school and doing work, and the children and the husbands and whatever, but you made it, you did it. So I'm very proud of all of you that hung in there and made it all the way through. And I hope that I see most of you going on to intermediate, if this is it. And Ms. Bullet, I'm just happy that I made it through this overview. Please keep in the newspaper. Please keep your network up. Please be in a mindset of continuous development, even if it's just once a month that you read the newspaper or go online and see what's happening at Toastmasters or what's happening in the industry. Always be able to speak knowledgeably to whatever job it is you have, and protect yourself. And like I say, every 2 or 3 years, you need a refresher, whether it is you take an English class or a math class or even a cooking class, just something to refresh you and keep your mind going. Shamara, you want to say something?
Yeah, Miss Bullet. So when I was looking through the newspaper last week, I saw they were advertising, for this compliance analyst for Fidelity. And something that was really interesting and motivating, like you have to have the BIFS certificate in anti-money laundering and the introduction and the intermediate. So I was like, it's almost like you needed to work for compliance. So it gave me more motivation to stick with the class. Not that I was ever planning on dropping, but it's good that you're doing something that is needed. And I just thought it was good. It was good to see. I thought like maybe you had to go to the final level, but it shows that the first 2 levels also count,
Yes, and very good. So your cousin don't have to just give you a hand of Shamara. You will be qualified, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
That's
very
right.
good.
We're going all the way.
Yes, good.
All the way.
Proud of all of you. Like I told you, it's a journey, and I'm not gonna downplay it. It can be overwhelming. It is a lot of work, but it's definitely achievable. Okay, so just hang in there. and we are going to be qualified for these positions that we get. And if we're not, we're going to qualify ourselves, because we know it's too risky now to sit in these positions and not be qualified. Especially, we can't control the hackers and scammers. Okay, so very good, ladies. Very proud of you. Okay, so hopefully you would have had the opportunity to read the last two chapters, and probably have some questions, but I'll do a small overview and then I'll share my screen and we will look at some cases that are going on now. Again, very popular question on the exam. I used to hate the questions, but a lot of people answer it and they get full points. Very easy questions to answer about the various court orders. So of course we know in the AML framework, there's the FTRA, the FTRR, the FIU, and then there's POCA. And so all these court orders will be under the Proceeds of Crime Act. Okay, and so there are a few of them here where they say there are 4 categories which all of these orders fall under. And so it's conviction-based confiscation, non-conviction-based civil forfeiture, an unexplained wealth order, or an investigative order. Okay, so there are restraint orders and freezing orders and investigative orders, monitoring orders and production orders, and most of them, or all of them, will fall under one of these categories. Okay, so conviction basis, of course, you would have been charged, and then they would say, well, we freeze your assets because you can't prove how you acquired these items before, from your government job, and so we will then confiscate. Non-conviction based, I don't know if y'all remember, back in this bullet day in the 80s, it used to be a lot of this drug trade era, and a lot of drug trafficking was going on, and the drug dealers thought they were so smart because they would never own any of the assets. So when the police, they were convicted, the police would say, okay, now we're taking the house and all the cars. They would say, oh, that's my mommy car, or that's my girlfriend house, and so now, once you are convicted, they then investigate your mommy, your daddy, your girlfriend, or your associates who own all these luxurious items. And if they can't prove where they get these items from, or that they could afford them, then they can be confiscated as well. So that's the non-conviction base. That's for your family members who name, you can put all these properties and houses, okay? Then it's unexplained wealth, and normally this falls for a politically explained person. Okay, I'm sorry, a politically exposed person. All our politicians, and of course we saw that 5 of these politicians were brought before the court. A lot of them cannot explain how you get this big house after you only been in government for 6 months. Like, your salary only increased so much, you can't afford $1 million home after 6 months. So explain that's where this money coming from. And then there are investigative orders. So in the bank, normally in my career, I've only received a disclosure order, which means you are to give testimony or testify or statement, disclose, give me some information on what's happening with this case, and then a production order. You are to produce. And so I want you to produce the KYC, or I want you to produce a copy of the transaction where this wire was sent. Okay, so disclosure and production is what I've seen come to the financial institution. Go ahead, Teresa.
Quick question, please, Ms. Bullard. The non-conviction based civil forfeiture. Once the court gives an order to investigate, let's say my brother put his Bentley in my name. I'm making $30,000 a year. There's no way I can afford that Bentley. Will I have to go to court, or will the judge make a call? Oh, this non-conditional.
I'm not certain, but I believe you will have to go to court and they
Okay,
will ask you to produce evidence on how you could afford this Bentley. And
okay,
if you can't produce that evidence, they will say, we know that's from the drug money from your brother. They confiscating it.
okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
you wouldn't go to jail, but they take your assets.
I wouldn't go to jail. Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Okay, so that's because like I say, back in the day in the 80s, you see all the drug leaders, all the 10 houses in their mommy name, all the cars in their mommy name, all these different things, right? Or the girlfriend, right? And so they wasn't able to freeze or confiscate anything. And so therefore that's what they realized was a trend in the Bahamas. And so therefore they put that law in place to say, hey, we will be able to seize this information as well. Okay. And so I think this was Yasmin spoke on Michelle Rackley on urban renewal. Was it or Opole on urban renewal? And so before, can you all see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Michelle Rackley was in charge of urban renewal in Freeport. And a lot of persons, I think it was her, Mother Pratt, and Algin and Allen, who they were in charge of Nassau, she was in charge of Freeport. And Michelle Rackley would have gone into the bank, opened an account, and said, one account is for urban renewal, another account is my personal account. And so I would imagine as the director of urban renewal, how much money you making a month? $2,000 or $3,000. So of course she would have opened an account. Her salary was supposed to come there, and I don't know if she provided evidence or she collected rent or whatever. However, $1.2 million went through that account. And so it went through the Teachers Credit Union as well as CIBC. And so when they wanted her to declare exactly where this money came from, she was unable to declare where this money came from. Now, on the Nassau side, a lot of persons, a hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Matthew, had, brought a lot of devastation to the Bahamas. And urban renewal was assisting persons with getting their roofs fixed and building back their houses and painting and what have you. However, a lot of persons said, well, the contractor started, but never came back. The only time he came back was to say, the inspector come to give him a drawdown. So every time it's time for him to get money, he shows up. However, no work is being done. And one woman was saying, 2 years my house was built. It was only a little small house, and it was not only her. There was 3 or 4 persons complaining that the people just has come collect the money and never be finished, and they don't understand how the inspectors paying them. And so Mother Pratt got on the TV and said, oh, people just ungrateful. They just ungrateful. And then after they started to investigate, they saw that, the contractors was getting paid, but no work was being done. And then Michelle Rackley had this sum of $1.2 million on her account. Okay. So of course they said, declare the source of funds or explain to us how you generated this wealth. And so her case has been ongoing since then. Now, she originally had 54 charges. However, the laws never updated till 2018. And so a lot of her charges were dropped, as well as I think there were 6 persons that out of her office who also got arrested with her. All their charges dropped because when poker came out, a lot of the law said it's not what is it? I can't remember the word they call it, but if it was not a law in the books at the time you committed the crime, you can't be charged with it. It was not retroactive, right? And so they got away with a lot of it. but they are still facing some charges. Okay, so that's what happened. Y'all are familiar with that case with urban renewal. Hello, y'all there?
Yes, yes, yes,
Not
ma'am.
in
Yes,
its
ma'am.
Yeah.
entirety.
Okay.
I am
Yes.
not.
Okay, so read up on that case because there's a question about cases on the exam. So read up on that case so you could speak knowledgeably to it. Okay, another very popular case is Alma Chase Campbell, and she was an ambassador. She ran on the F&M ticket, and her as well had you know, accused of defrauding the Ministry of Tourism by stealing a check, putting it in her son's law firm name, and he went into Royal Bank. He tried to cash it. Now, Chase was already out on bail for defrauding BPL. However, he is out on bail again. And this is why I always tell y'all only poor people go to jail. Because had that been one of us already on bail for corruption and fraud, how is it from a government entity, how is it that you get bail a second time for doing the same thing? Okay, so all of them are on bail. This is Tavalis Curry. He is the guy, he owns this air freshener company, and I don't know if you all know this air freshener scent thing that just sits in the bathroom, and the whole bathroom is smells really, really good. It's very popular in the financial institutions. However, he is one, you know, he comes and you better have that clear desk policy. He is one that dumps the dives and steals information in order to commit fraud. Okay, the virus drives flies around in a Learjet in a private plane. Okay, and again, unexplained about where all this money comes from. Now, Miss Chase Campbell had a 2020 BMW X4, you know, confiscated from her. Okay, and one of the orders is a seizure order. However, you know, they only put it on hold for 1 year. And during the pandemic, she had said that she need her BMW back. Okay. And so the last time she went to court was to try get her BMW back because the order that they had held her BMW or seized her BMW had expired. So she wanted her BMW back. Okay. Can she explain the wealth? Can she explain how she could afford a 2020, what it is, a X4? But she wanted back. Okay. So like I said, these people are not, what should I say? They are not humble. They don't care if they are charged. You know, I would say, oh, I still see and just keep the BMW because I know I didn't steal this money. However, you know, they are innocent until proven guilty. And so therefore, yeah, she asked for the BMW back.
Did she get it back? You know, Bullet?
I don't know. I was waiting for the paper to post it. I never Googled. So in y'all looking it up, see if they give the woman back her
That's so
hard-earned
biggity,
BMW,
man.
please. Because she can't be driving no Paso while she out on
She need to
bail,
drive a
okay?
Paso.
Sorry?
They so biggity. She need to drive a Paso.
Yes, yes.
For all that
Anyway,
money.
But
Come on
but she
now.
just could be biggity in that Paso because them Pasos and them Swift and thing they biggity.
they come to take over. There's kill people every day. You see, that's what they say. A Paso pull up to the gas station and shoot somebody. I was like, really, in a Paso? You don't even come in like a reasonable getaway car? No,
Can't even speed in them.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
boy, you could speed in them. They fast.
And
Hello.
and flip. Flip. I get one, I scared of them. I can't even speed in them because I feel as though I could turn over.
Oh, see,
I
they
don't want
small,
to.
so they could slip through the cracks. That's the thing.
Gee.
okay.
Miss
So
Bullet,
They
remind me, didn't
definitely could Swift.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Bullet, didn't she hold a post? Elma Garrett.
yeah, at this time it
Yeah.
says she was a former magistrate and an ambassador to China.
Former magistrate and ambassador to China. And one time I think she had to sit in with someone was away and she was the acting something. An ambassador to China. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they didn't
This is who
go to
representing
jail.
international.
Sorry, would you
You
say if
you
if they
said
went to jail?
no. You were saying they didn't go to jail, so they just got fined. Or
No,
what?
they out
What was
on
the out?
bail. The
Oh,
They
they
case
out
out
is
on
on
closed,
bail.
yeah.
bail.
But what I saying
Oh,
is, her son in the middle here was already out
out
on
on
bail.
bail. Oh,
Okay, for
Mm.
defrauding
He
the
looks like
BBL.
wicked.
I see.
He look crooked.
Okay, and then he had given some of this money to his girlfriend.
Oh.
You know, but
Uh-huh.
they
Allegedly.
And they call her
allegedly,
too?
right? Yeah, but they let her go. But this
Oh
this
no,
Yeah.
person,
she gets some money too. She get that little.
Yeah,
she get
but
a
they called her.
2019 BMW.
yeah, but this person here on the end, he
Mhm.
is coming to all the financial institutions, and I love that air freshener. I was looking him up for the air freshener. When I look,
That only lasts for 2 days, Miss Bullet. That's it. After 3 days, you can smell that.
but he is coming replace it. He's come, but what I saying is,
He know
when
why
he
he come in.
come
He want to see what on your desk.
this is what I said. When he walking into the bank, and there you go. He looking around. So y'all who don't like to lock y'all screen and clear desk policy, and who don't like the shred, just drop all that paper into your garbage.
In the garbage.
He right there waiting for you, right?
Yeah, but if
right
the
there.
banks know that, why they still doing business with him?
But they stop after this. But
Oh, I guess not.
the day when they saw him being dragged before the court, they don't even show you who being dragged before the court before, so you
No
can't
more,
even say,
Yeah.
right? So you can't even
his face look
familiarize
familiar.
yourself
You
with them.
right, you can't even say it. So he's showing up to the bank tomorrow, and you don't even know he just get charged last night. So this is why you hope that your system is savvy enough and word check updates, so you get that hit to say the Valis Curry was charged. This person was charged. You don't want no aliases. Remember, I told you all the guy who defrauded the Securities Commission, Yadi out on bail for robbing Commonwealth Bank. Y'all truly gonna let him be the car wash guy, and simply just because they didn't know his name.
Which
And
which one he
nobody ever
robbed?
Google him. Sorry?
Which
On the
one he
island,
robbed?
eh? In the Lutheran, eh?
Eleuthera, the one in Eleuthera.
Girl, when that happened?
Let's see when that happened. That happened from 240 and 215.
That can't be so because Spanish
What you
Wells only
mean?
been open for about 5 years.
What, only been open for 5 years?
Spanish Wells.
No,
That's
man.
the Commonwealth branch in the
No,
Lutheran.
man.
That's the
That
only
been
Commonwealth
open
in
for
the Lutheran.
no.
No, ma'am.
That been
I
open for
work at
years.
Commonwealth Bank. It's only been open for 5 years.
No way. Then it was Royal Bank then. Okay,
There
let's
we
see.
go. Now we're talking it.
Then it was Royal Bank, not Commonwealth Bank. Let's see. Here you go, man, with the Jeremy right there. Man charged with the Fraud and Securities Commission. Jeremy Pender of Lower Bogey Luther was charged with conspiracy to commit fraud by fraud pretenses and 20 counts of money laundering. Do they say? Let me see. Jeremy Pender.
Royal Bank, it right
Yeah,
there.
they
Royal
said,
Bank,
they said it was Royal Bank.
Yeah, it right
Okay.
there, Royal Bank.
Yeah.
I think it's on the 3rd paragraph.
Okay, let me go back to it. Yeah, Pender allegedly laundered. Pender pleaded not guilty to one charge.
Right above that, Miss Bullet, Royal Bank.
Okay,
Allegedly
Pender
charged.
allegedly laundered by making cash withdrawals from the Royal Bank of Canada. No, I want to see the robbery where he robbed. Let me see. Where he robbed either Commonwealth Bank. Oh, this was a long time. 2004. You could probably find another one. See, 5 men from Nassau accused of involvement in armed robbery in the Royal Bank of Canada in Eleuthera last week. Right. Jerry Pender, right there he is, right there. See, court alleged that at Spanish Bells Eleuthera. Okay. Yeah.
Remember, Royal Bank was the only bank on Spanish Wells
French gas, right,
at
right,
that
right,
time. And then
right.
they closed down, and it wasn't not until probably a year and a half to 2 years later when Commonwealth Bank opened that in late 2018, early 2019.
Right, right. Yeah, so he never went to jail. He always out been out on bail. And then he was working the Cable Bahamas. That means he was going into people's houses, to hook up their cable and going into their roof and knowing how to get back in their house, right? So yeah, be very careful. Yeah, you have to Google these people and see who you're letting in. Okay, so yeah, so had the Securities Commission um known him as more than Yadi, and I don't even know why, because they normally call Jamaican Yadi. Jeremy, Jamaican. I don't know why. If they had known, then they would know. He shouldn't have been out there with no car wash. Okay, and he been out there like for 2-3 years. All right,
So that means he built a relationship with them if he been on there for 2 or 3 years. So he built a relationship of washing their cars. He built their trust.
yep, and they never knew his name other than an alias. Okay, so make sure you know who washing your car and who you giving your whole bunch of keys to, because you don't want to take the key off, or be very careful. People, like I say, are coming up with all sorts of ways to defraud the system. Okay, so yeah, unexplained wealth. When you get all this money, you're a politician and you don't know how, you cannot explain where the money came from. There was also cruise ships that were seized in our waters the other day. Who was it? What does this say? Crystal Symphony was en route to Miami, following a 2-week Caribbean cruise when it received news of a warrant which stemmed from a lawsuit filed by Peninsula Petroleum. They didn't pay their gas bill. Man, and all these, they always have 1.2 million. It can't be the three of them with 1.2 million. I thought they say it was like $4 million in gas. They didn't pay. And they filed bankruptcy, so they got seized in Freeport. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
No. You said it.
Yeah.
I was saying I know they got seized or something like that.
Right. And so again, when you go to look up these court cases, you'll see that the Bahamian news does not specifically say what type, whether it was a production order or freezing order or unexplained wealth order. Very seldomly you'll see that terminology, right? But I think if you look at US cases, they will say specifically. So don't be dismayed by that. The exam will just ask you to explain exactly, and then perhaps explain what happened in the cases, and you should be able to answer. Okay.
Ms. Bullard,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I wanted to know, like, how many cases are you expecting for us to explain?
Well,
based
the exam will specifically ask you for an amount, and when it doesn't, no more than 3.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's not
There's
a-
one particular question that will ask you for 5 examples. Okay, but
Okay.
that's a very easy question to answer. So it will be easy to get 5 examples. And we're gonna talk about, like I said, when you come with next week with the review, we want good examples and we want good information. The review class will only be as good as you make it. Okay, so please cut down the amount of work that you do. Each person only has 1 question. I think Opal has 2 because one of her questions is a multiple choice question. Everybody else's question is an essay. Okay, so we want 10 valid points. And we don't want anybody to come with a PowerPoint presentation. We want you to scale down the information and give us 10 valid points. Go ahead, Teresa.
Sorry, Miss Bullet. Who, the name of the guy, car, yellow? Which story was that? I'm sorry, I didn't see the, when you shared the screen. Because I Google it, I say yellow car wash person. I see, I didn't get.
Jeremy Pinder. That's the Securities Commission.
Jeremy Pinder, Securities Commission. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, so scale down the information, give us 10 valid points on your topic. Okay. Is everybody clear on what needs to be done? Do we see the review sheet before we go on to chapter 8? Everybody got the review sheet, and any questions regarding your question and how to answer it? No? No? And Opal, you understand that your first question on tipping off and failing to disclose is a multiple choice question, so we only want you to come with the fine, and then I think we gave you the statutory requirements as well.
Yes, ma'am, I have the two.
Okay, good.
Just for clarification, we have to do an essay.
Multiple choice question. When you say multiple choice question, I need clarification on that, please.
I want some clarification on mine as well, but I don't know if we could send it by email.
Okay, so the tipping off and the failing to disclose, you need to come with the fine. Oh, good. That's it. Just tell us what the fine is for both.
Okay.
And then the statutory requirements is where you come with the 10 points. And you know, it's 5 statutory requirements. So you could give us 1 point on each. You could say what statutory requirements are, and then give us a point on each one.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Precious, what's yours?
I think mine is the framework.
What, risk?
I printed it. 1 second.
Yeah, so
the risk framework.
This is how you go about it. Read the chapter, listen to the recording on your question, and give 10 valid points from the 2. And then you perhaps need to do some research if you want to add anything to it. But for the most part, you know, what you need is in the book, except for your examples. Okay, so Precious, you will come with risk appetite, risk assessment, and risk rating, and giving an explanation of each of those.
Okay.
Okay.
Miss Bullen, my question is, sorry.
Go ahead, Shamara.
Red flags, indicators for organized crimes. Do I have to list and explain?
Yeah, you have to list and explain, and you can look right on page 60, I think.
Okay, that would be 10 points as well. 10 points.
Yeah, and that question will be like, if you look, it'll be a scenario question and asking you, it'll tell you, Mr. Somebody is married to an ambassador out of Angola, you know, and you'll pick out the red flag, something like that.
Okay.
Okay, so look at page 61 and you'll see.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, good. Who else? Go ahead, Teresa.
Miss Bullard, I am so sorry. This review shoot that we got today, I didn't know we had to do something of this. So I thought this was related to the essays. So we have to write 10 points. My own is ML, TF, PF crimes. So I have to write 10 points on this topic. Just not, and of course, just points, bullet points.
Yeah, bullet points. And then we want you to give us some cases as well. Like you look on page 9 or 10, there are 21 crimes under money laundering, right? Fraud, theft, counterfeiting, drug dealing, corruption, and bribery. And of course, the very popular, if you want to talk about counterfeiting, very popular case is the George Floyd case. You give us tell us what counterfeiting is. You give us an overview of the George Floyd case.
Oh, George Floyd. Okay, George Floyd.
If you talk about counterfeiting.
Counterfeiting, right? And counterfeiting. Yeah. And when is this due?
It's for next week. The last class, the review class.
Oh, that's August. Okay. All right, Ms. Bullard.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all know when the exam is, right? You already put in your days off. your study days if your work allows it.
Yeah, my work don't allow that, but
Okay.
we're definitely putting in some study time, a group of us. But I
Okay.
wanted to know, I'm just reporting on the rulings of different cases then.
Which question is yours, the
Court,
one? I don't have it open. Which one is
number
yours?
8, court orders.
Okay, yeah. So again, these same cases that we talked about tonight.
Okay.
Alma Chase Campbell, Michelle Reckley, you know, and then perhaps what is an unexplained wealth? What is non-conviction based civil forfeiture? What is a production order? And remember that I said produce, to produce information. That's normally what you see in the bank. And then a disclosure order to give testimony. Okay.
Ms. Bullet, what is a PF crime?
Proliferation of weapons.
Oh,
Iran.
Proliferate.
Yeah, proliferation of weapons. So proliferation financing. You could see who funding Iran and Russia and what that crazy man named Kim Jong-un.
Korea.
Yeah, with Korea. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Ms. Fuller, for my question, I say it requires research. That's the domestic terrorism. So I should explain what domestic terrorism is. And
I can't hear you, Deandra.
Oh, let me try to on my mic, maybe. Or
which question you have?
The domestic terrorism.
Uh-huh.
So maybe I should define what domestic terrorism is and give like maybe a few points or a few examples of,
yeah.
You know?
Right. And they'll probably ask you, you know, because there's so many, it's happening in America almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
How do, you know, the Bahamas is sneeze, we catch that cold. How do we not catch that cold? Mm-hmm. These are current examples. We know Fox Hill, we know Montel Heights, we know Jerome Avenue, you know.
Right. Okay.
And then basically controls. What controls can be put in place to make sure that what's happening in America does not happen here?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, everybody clear?
Ms. Bullet, can we start registering for the next session, is it?
Yes. And I know the date probably has to change because I just looked at my calendar and I already have a class on Thursday. So it'll have to either change to Tuesdays, or I think intro is going to be on Saturday. So it may have to change to Tuesdays.
Okay.
Instead of Thursdays. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. So we good on the court orders. We can go on to the last chapter. Right. So like I say, this we will walk away with the best information that you give us, and hopefully we don't have to do so much work on our own, because everybody would have done their part. So please listen, read the chapter where your question comes from, listen to the recording, do some research, and come give us 10 good points, good information. No PowerPoint presentation, no writing. We scale the information down, give us points that we need to get full points. That's what we need. Okay, and nobody getting offended because Ms. Bullet is saying no points, no points. Okay, we wanna work through it to make sure we get points, you know, information that will give us points. So please don't come with these long introductions and all of that. No points for them. Okay.
Sorry,
Scale
Ms.
down
Bullet, you said
the
no bullet
information.
points? You said no
Sorry?
bullet for this review next week. You said don't do bullet points?
No, I said don't do an essay. Do bullet points. Yeah.
Okay.
Do bullet points. Okay. And so come with your review sheet. And by next week, you should have decided that I know there will be 10 choices, but I am going to answer, I have to answer 7 questions only. Do not answer 8. We will only mark 7, and all must be in essay form, 1 page, a page and a half the most. You should know by the end of the review class, these are the 7 questions that I am going to answer. I'm going to answer the question on money laundering, on terrorist financing, on crimes. You know, you should, the key to it is being organized and going into the exam prepared. And if your office does not offer you any time, please, this exam is from 6 to 9 the following Tuesday. Please at least get off early from work. Don't come rushed, fighting traffic and overwhelmed. Okay? Please try at least take your lunch hour, get something to eat and unwind, and I promise you all of that helps. Okay? If you could get a half day, ask for a half day. Okay? See if you can get the office to work with you. Okay? Because especially if your office paying, we always tell the office, it makes no sense to send somebody to school if they don't have a study leave. Like that's it, that's what comes with it, because there are exams. Okay? So hopefully they understand and they work with you. Okay? So any questions on chapter 7, or can we go into chapter 8 and be good? No questions?
Miss Bullard, I have a question, please.
Go ahead.
As it relates to, sorry, I know we going into chapter 8, but I had a question on the chapter we did last week. I could wait until the end of class if you like.
No, go ahead.
Okay, then when we were talking about the statutory requirements, they spoke on, they kept define the licensees. That's referring to the business establishment, correct?
They call them supervised financial institutions. So all licensees, so that means all the banks reporting into the central bank, all the broker dealers and securities companies into the Securities Commission, all the insurance companies into the Insurance Commission. Okay, so they are the licensees. And so
Okay.
you come with their 5 statutory requirements. It's identification, monitoring, record keeping, training, the MLRO, and 2 points on each. People like to go on about identification. 2 points and move on. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bullard, I mean, it's reasonable to write 7 essays in 3 hours, right?
Yeah, so you organize yourself again, 20 minutes for each essay. So you have to watch the time. And you are allowed to answer whichever one is easiest for you first. Okay, and that's what we suggest you do. If question 10 is easiest for you, start with question 10. Then if the multiple choice, then do the multiple choice. Then, you know, so the key
is it going to be
you
done on the computer?
No, it's, you have to write this.
Okay, okay.
So you show up to the institute with your ID and a pen and your keys, and that's it. No books, no cell phones, no, none of that. But we'll go over all the rules next week.
Okay.
Okay, it's going to be recorded. Please don't bring your cell phone. We have had persons thrown out of the exam and failed because they bought a cell phone and it vibrated. Okay, you can't pull it out your pocket when the invigilator walks out the class because you're being recorded. Okay, please just don't bring it. It's not worth it. It's $200 if you have to do a retake. Okay, and if you do not show up on Tuesday, you automatically have to pay the $200 if you want to sit the exam again, because a new exam has to be written. So please, if you have an emergency, please call Ms. Dean and speak to her and let her know. But you cannot just not show up, okay, on Tuesday. All right, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Your ID, your keys, your mask, and a pen. That's it. Don't bring anything else. For real, y'all laughing. The people that say, oh, Miss Bullet, I bring the review sheet. If people were caught with the review sheet, they had to go to counseling. They was put out of every class they was in. They had to go to counseling and they had to pay $200. And the counselor had to agree that they could be then back into the institute. We had somebody who was institution paid for them. So when we told them they got put out for cheating, they got fired. So please, it ain't worth it. You know, like I say, this is achievable. Just take your time and organize yourself and you'll be okay. Okay? Okay, so on to our last and final chapter. Yay! Y'all ain't sound excited? You all there? You're very
Only
quiet.
excited.
Yay.
I'm trying to get the exam.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So chapter 8 starts with the most or the second most incorrect answer on the exam. And I say this every single time, and people will still get it wrong. Okay. So of course this could be on the exam as a multiple choice question. On whom does the responsibility of delivering compliance rest with? Okay. And everybody thinks it's the compliance department. It is not the compliance department. Okay. The responsibility is the board of directors. Okay. And so the compliance department, the CEO, the finance, the HR, all these executives or senior management, they are only acting on behalf of the board. The board, of course, only comes in once a quarter, 4 times a year. And so they delegate their authority to senior management. Okay. And when they come in for their board visit, that senior person, the MLRO or the finance manager, they stand up and they give a report to the board as to what happened in the last 3 months. Okay. But the board is still responsible. Okay. So you could leave your oldest child in charge when you go out, right? But when you come home, something happen, then you say your oldest child responsible, you're still responsible. So in essence, it's the same thing. Okay. And the book has it split up to the compliance department and the AML team and the risk team and the MLRO. Because essentially, one person should not be wearing all these hats. Okay. And I always said we was, auditing a Fortune 500 company, and we went in and we said, who did we speak to about legal? They gave us the same name. Who did we speak to about risk? The same name. Compliance, AML. And we said, is this person the coordinator? They said no. So we stopped the audit because this one person wore too many hats. Okay, so that person couldn't be effective because they were overwhelmed. Okay, so we want to ensure that institutions, there's no one size fits all approach. There's the risk-based approach. So it depends on the number of clients you have and whether they are high, medium, or low, and the products and services that you offer. And that's how you determine like how many staff you need. So normally we say, if a proper structure in place, senior account officers should have like 100 accounts, 50 should be high, or the majority should be high, and they should have 1 or 2 medium or very operational clients. Junior account officers should have low and medium accounts and 1 or 2 high risk accounts for practice. Okay, if you have 800 clients, you need 8 officers, senior and junior, depending on if your clients are high, medium, or low. Okay, another structure that should be in place is you deal with countries or other jurisdictions. You should have a European desk so you could pick up European patents. Somebody in there should speak French. You should have a Latin American desk. Somebody in there should speak Spanish. You should have an Asian desk. Somebody in there should speak Mandarin. Okay, because at the end of the day, second most wrong question, what are we required to know our customers and then carry out due diligence? We are required to know our customers. No one person can know 800 clients. Okay, and so a lot of organizations, they have 4 account officers working in one area, and they have a generic box. All the transfers and everything come to that box, and then they say whoever is available, they get this transaction. Okay, and that is proven not to be effective, because that means you have to know all 800 clients. You won't be able to pull, see when their patterns change. You wouldn't be able to, it'll be more difficult for you to know if they are outside of their profile. It would be difficult for you to know what their profiles are. However, if you deal with the same 100 clients over and over again, you should be able to build a relationship with them. Okay, so a big problem in these organizations is that there is no structure in place. All right, so like I said, the compliance department said the board looks at the compliance department is for it providing oversight and reassurance to an effective internal AML and risk controls framework. Okay, so that compliance person should be regulatory compliance, and they deal with the regulators. They are that liaison person for sending information back and forth to the regulators. Then they should vet policy and procedure. They should ensure client reviews are completed, not that they do compliance reviews, because that would make them operational. Okay, and most institutions have compliance doing CRS and FACA and other client reviews that makes them operational. Compliance should be completely independent of the business. Okay, and then there's an AML compliance team that person should be approving accounts that are medium and low. Okay, on the committee to approve high-risk accounts. They should be looking at the triggers and the transactions. They should be signing off on high-risk transactions, okay? And they should monitor and look at various daily reports that come through the department. And then, of course, we have the risk officer. A full risk assessment has to be done on the company. There has to be a compliance risk assessment, and then an enterprise-wide risk assessment where we associate the risk in finance, all the risk in credit, all the risk in HR, okay? And all of that has to be documented. And then we have controls in place, and then there's constant testing to ensure that the controls are effective and that they are working. And then, of course, this risk assessment has to be sent on to the regulators, okay? So you want to ensure that that is complete and up to date. And then, of course, there's the MLRO, the Money Laundering Reporting Officer. Now, this is the person who investigates suspicious transactions, submits it to the FIU. This can be either the AML officer or the compliance officer. It's normally the senior person in the department. Okay, so whomever is the senior person, they should be also labeled as the money laundering reporting officer. Okay, but it's an approved position. Put the ad in the paper. The regulator has to do an investigation on the person. They want to know where you live. You have to be registered with the FIU. They want a private telephone number, private email outside of the bank. And you are to receive internal SDRs, evaluate them, file all disclosures, act as a point of contact for law enforcement, and act without reference or influence from management. And again, you can only act without reference or influence if you are independent of the business. Okay, if the CEO can decide how much bonus you get, then he has influence over you. If the CEO can tell you when to go on vacation and what you must do, he has influence over you. Okay, so it's a work in progress. The regulators have been pretty good. You know, you can have an audience with them once a year, and you let them know that, hey, I'm not independent. In my last position where I was approved, my employer had a dotted line to the CEO, and the regulator asked them to remove it. And they said, oh, it's just for HR matters if Ms. Bullitt needs to go on vacation. And they say, will we deny this application pending removal of this dotted line? Because if Ms. Bullitt needs to go on vacation, she can let HR know. Okay, and they advocated for at least 3 weeks until my application expired and they had to resubmit it. Okay, because they did not want to move that dotted line. So, you know, I advised them and I showed them what the law said, what the policy say, because the Securities Commission had ironed it out. You can only hold a compliance position. You cannot report to the CEO, but of course, you know, they don't ever listen. So we went through that process and eventually, you know, they removed it and then I was approved. Okay. There are 3 lines of defense within organizations now. The first line of defense in regards to risk is the front line and the managers. The second line of defense is the compliance department. And then the third line of defense is internal audit, and the role of internal audit is to prevent, detect, and investigate money laundering and financial crime. It's an independent function, and it helps the organization by bringing a systematic approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of risk management, control, and governance. And just like we are saying, compliance is everybody's business, governance now is everybody's business. So they are trying to make that more, what should I say, a common factor in financial institutions. So as I audited for a while, and the first thing when there are deficiencies in the department, the first thing we say is bring out all the resumes. Okay, we want to see if there's sufficient education as well as sufficient experience in that department. Okay, most of the times there isn't. And we say we attribute this to the deficiencies. So of course, Ms. Bullitt says you must go to school. Okay, and some persons are, working in like trading areas, you must have the CV7. I give them 2 years to do it. If they are in compliance, you must have the certification. I give you a year to do intro and intermediate. And if you aren't interested, you go somewhere else. When I was the head of operations at Royal Bank, I told my staff as a requirement to be in my department, you must go to school. I don't care what you take. You could take up a cooking class. You must go to school, and the bank was going to pay. And it was met with both, thank you, Ms. Bullitt, for this opportunity, and you ruining my life. Okay. So one guy's mother called me on the phone and she said, do you know that I have gone to the bank and I've gotten a loan because he wants his CPA? And since he has come into your department, I've been able to pay off that loan, and his graduation is next year. And so, Ms. Bullitt, I just want to thank you. And they invited me to the graduation. Another girl, she said, oh, I just got married and I had a baby and I can't go to school right now. I said, okay, I'll give you till your baby is 2 years old, but then you only have a high school diploma. And, I don't expect you to be, I think she was the receptionist. I said, you're going to be the receptionist for more than 3 years. So, I'll give you till your baby is, 2 or perhaps 3. Let me know how it goes. And this baby was 5. And she was like, no, she still can't go, and I ruining her life and all of this and the next thing. So, and we had another person who just said they wasn't interested in school. So I said, okay, fine. So the bank announced that they was going to shut down. Everybody who was in school, as a part of their package, if they was doing a bachelor's degree, we paid for their bachelor's degree in full. Somebody was doing their master's, we paid for their master's degree in full. That guy who was doing his CPA, we paid for that in full. So my friend with the 5-year-old, what you think she come to me and say, Ms. Bullitt, please, I'll take any class. Just sign me up, sign me up. It was too late. So we had 2 of them who had worked in the bank for 6+ years, who still only had a high school diploma. And the bank was paying $3,000 a year in classes. Okay, so you don't know when this opportunity ends. You don't know when a benefit will be taken away. A lot of benefits, a lot of institutions just used to pay $3,000 to $5,000 a year after the pandemic. They contacted the school and say, we are unable to do it. Whoever in class now, we finish for them, and our policies are changing. Okay, don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. You could leave with your CPA, or you could leave with your high school diploma. It's up to you. But tell me what job you will, or how much money would you be able to make? 6 years of experience and on your high school diploma, or 6 years of experience and a CPA. It's really up to you. Okay. And of course, we know the regulators are Central Bank for Banks, Securities Commission for Securities, Insurance Commission, the Gaming Board, and most recently for the real estate law firms and accounting firms that have a corporate service providers arm, the Compliance Commission. Okay. Guys, that's it. That's all Ms. Bullitt got. Any questions or concerns? No, you're there, you're asleep or you're awake? It's only good to fall asleep.
We're awake.
We wake. We
Y'all
just
awake.
we taking it in.
Okay, good, good. Once you all retain it and can apply it to your institutions and definitely, you know, get through this final exam. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So one of two of you have not done any homework. One or two of you do not have any points. Okay? It's very difficult to pass this final exam if you don't have any points, because the final exam is only 70% of your grade. Okay, so you need, even you'd have to get 100% on this exam to pass this class if you don't go into the exam with some points. But for the most part, I'm very proud. Most of you are going into the exam with the full 30 points. So excellent, and very proud of you.
Ms. Bullard,
Okay,
I have a question. Would you let us know what we're going, our grade that we're going into exam with?
yeah, all you have to do is, if you got 100% on your homework, then you have 20 points.
Okay.
Right? If you didn't get 100%, whatever you got, multiply it by 0.2, so 0.2, and you should get 14 or 15 or 16 points. Then add it to your 5% for participation and 5% for your civic organization, and that's how you know that you are 30.
Okay.
Okay, is that clear? Everybody understand what to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so
Yes,
those of
ma'am.
you who got 100 on your exam and you know that you participated, you read the news, you shared, and you went to the civic, you have 30 points. So you're sitting comfortably. And that is the majority of you.
Miss
Okay, so I'm
Bullard,
very pleased.
but I can't remember. I wrote it somewhere. If it's okay, I'll email you when I find it sometime during the week.
Just look in your email. I
Yeah,
would have emailed your grade to you, so just check your email.
No. I mean, I have a question. I had a question. I was looking at something on Sunday and I had a question. I don't remember where I put it. So
Okay.
with the notes, and when I find it, I'll just email you, because for the life of me, I can't find the question.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So you guys, get some rest. Like I say, organize yourself, and come fully prepared for our last and final class next Tuesday. Get lots of information, write down, like I said, we want a definition and an example, okay? And not a made up example, a real life case, okay? So make sure that you have your real life examples for whatever question you have to answer, okay? Have a fabulous week and unwind and get some rest, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, Ms.
Yes,
Bullard.
ma'am.
Yes. Okay, great. Take care. Good night. Have a good evening.
Good evening,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.